All right, welcome back to the Grow Show. Can you tell I'm excited today? We are here with a guest. I am Keshelle.
And this is Dr. Glenn.
You all should know our names by now. I don't even think we should be introducing ourselves. But, for those who are...
audience.
Yeah, for those who are new, welcome. This is episode 7 of season 2. We are excited. And our theme this year, as you know, if you've been following, and if this is your first show, go back and watch the previous ones. We've had some really good topics, especially this season, as well as last season. I am excited because we have our very, very first guest on the Grow Show. We've been talking about guests from season 1, and of course, it never happened. And it just so happened that today is our first guest, and I am so excited for the topic. If you know anything about me, if you know anything about Glenn, we love this topic.
Guess the topic. You could try put it down in the chat. Guess the topic.
We are talking about growing boldly through travel, y'all. The capital T, travel. Now, Glenn and I, we say we travel a lot, especially compared to a lot of persons. People were fascinated when they've learned that we do 30 days of travel every summer. And they were fascinated by that. And y'all know me, I am a person who always have a backpack. You don't even have to finish, say, travel or let's go. You just need to say location and you say where, ready. So when our guest, I'm gonna let her introduce herself. When I learned about our guest and what she was doing, and I follow her, and I'm like, I feel like a baby compared to her, okay? We have no comparison to what she does. And so I'm excited to have this conversation on how to grow boldly through travel. So introduce yourself and tell us who you are, and really just tell us, how did you get into, so tell us again your recent accomplishment when it comes to travel.
Okay.
How many cities, blah, blah, blah. And then how did you get into this?
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be the first on your show, the first guest. And my name is Eustacia Jennings. You can call me Stacy. I know that's easier, so we go by Stacy. And recently I accomplished my goal of reaching 100 countries. And I'm a little overachiever, so I reached 103 as I combined a few countries on that trip. So that's what I've been known for a while. But I've been traveling for a while. I guess from I was 4 years old and my grandmother took me to Miami. That's the first trip to Miami to go shopping. And I guess it was always in me because both of my grandfathers on both sides are sea captains.
Okay.
And I would hear stories of them traveling around the world at different places. I remember writing my grandfather, letters and, those kind of things in the States. And so I've always had traveling in me. And, in the summers, I'd go to Miami, spend with my aunt, etc. And then I went off to school to McGill in Canada, for college. And that cold was a shock. And it was also, oh, wow, there's a world outside the United States in the Bahamas, right? And then, when I was in college, I would travel a little bit, but, it was always, I have to go home. I got to catch John Canoe. I'm not staying here. My friends would invite me to their part of the world or even the States. And I'm like, no, I'm going back home, going to the Bahamas. Wow. And even now I look back and I'm like, boy, I wish I had gone. Because I had a friend who lived in India. She's like, come to India. My parents will pay for you, we'll help. And I was like, no, I got to go to John Canoe, got to go. Exactly. But I did that a lot for college. I just was homesick. I was so homesick. And so all throughout college. So I didn't really start traveling. And I didn't think I had the money to do it either, right? Because you're a broke college student. Even though I had scholarships and I had money coming in from my scholarships and change, but I wanted to go home. Right. But when I got to, started working and making my own money when I came back home, and that was different, and I was single, I was still living at home, so I had all this extra money. So I started traveling more, and then I started working for BEC at the time. I was stationed in Abaco, but I had to go to all the power stations around the country. In the Bahamas, I literally been to anywhere there's a BPL or BEC power station, I've been to that island twice. So I've done all the Bahamian islands. And so when I'd done that for 2 years, I was like, what else is there to see outside of the Bahamas, right? And it was like every island was so different and so unique within our own country. So I started to imagine, well, how different it is out there in the rest of the world. And then I started looking outside.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my first trip, my real first international trip was a European tour. I booked it solo, but it was a group tour. It was in 2014. And we went to like 8 different countries in 10 days on a
10
bus.
days?
Yes. So every day, almost every day, we was in a different country. But it was amazing. I met so many new people. I spent my birthday with them. It was one of the best birthdays, you know. And it was just like, I could see all these countries in a short period of time because I was working and I had taken, you know, during vacation time,
Yeah.
etc. And it was like, oh, wow, okay. And at the time I was living in Turks and Caicos, where I moved to because my dad's from there. And so that opened up a whole can of worms. And that's when the international travel bug, I like to say, was born. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to spend my birthday in every country. And then I had a best friend, her birthday was 3 days ahead of mine.
Right.
And she had passed away. And we used to like to travel. And I would say I'd spend our birthdays together in a different country in her honor, you know, to honor her memory. Because she reminded me, you know, her passing, that life is short. Because we had all these plans, you know, that never, we're going to travel, we're going to do this with the baby. And it never happened. And so it was a sober reminder that we make all these plans, but who's to say that you're going to live until, you know, it's guaranteed, you know, until, you know, retirement. Oh, I'm going to wait till when I retire to travel. And I'm like, I
always say that.
I don't know what I got. I might want to be now at 40 and I'd be trying to climb. I'm trying to climb Machu Picchu and I'd be like, oh no. And then people are like, oh, you're doing this. I'm like, no.
And we're traveling. You don't want to leave that for retirement. You want to enjoy that while you're still
young
active and agile.
Yes.
Then when you retire, you should be just traveling, but it shouldn't be your first encounter. There's a body design, unless you are
a very fit person. Yes. And I've seen some of those, like some older people on some of my trips leave me to shame. Like they'd be running up the mountains.
I run
I stopped being ashamed.
I like, yo, go ahead, go on. But they're like, take my time. I know my pace. I'll be okay. So that's kind of how I got into it, and it started growing. Yeah.
I love this. So many things.
I know.
Something you said that you realized that there was more to the world than the U.S. I remember us having that experience or that awareness when we did our first European tours. We were like, wow, this is more than, you know, the United States of America. That resonated with me. The question that I have is, what does travel mean to you? Like, what is it? Is it just like a hobby? Is it more than a hobby? How do you classify travel in your life? Because I know during the pandemic, when we couldn't travel, I literally went through this depression.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know it was, of course, the pandemic, but I didn't really know it was travel related until I was listening to an audiobook. And they was talking about how travel was more than travel to them. I can't even remember what the audiobook was. I just literally remember her saying travel was, she needed travel for her soul to feel alive. And I'm like, that is it. That's me. So for you, what is it for you?
I think travel has evolved. It's been different things for me at different spaces in my life. So when I used to work and I had a full-time job, it was an escape. It was like, I need this break to refresh from these work and craziness and everything. When I started working for myself, who are you refreshing and breaking from? Yourself as your boss. So it wasn't that anymore, right? And I realized it wasn't that, it was an escape. For me, it's a lifestyle, right? It's part of who I am. But COVID I was fine with COVID and I wasn't able to go anywhere. Wow. My travel bank account grew a lot of money because I wasn't traveling. But I found joy and peace here. Like I started walking every day to the beach because what I do travel for, I was able to find that just being here. And that's why I tell people I live where you vacation, hashtag is correct.
That is true.
And so I made home my vacation and my permanent, so I was on a permanent vacation for like 2 years. And I would walk to the beach every day. I lost like 25 pounds. You know, COVID was good for me. I didn't want another, it was another COVID. I don't want another COVID. Rebuke that. No, but I get you. It helped me to realize. That's when I launched out into my own business. I got let go from my job, but I launched out into my own business and just did a lot of things that I would not have done if it wasn't for COVID. But I realized that for me, travel was more, it's a part of me, but I really do it to connect with God with different landscapes and nature, because I'm an environmentalist, right? I'm a
See, he
nature
don't want to hear
lover.
that. That don't even excite. That excites me.
I love to go hiking. I love, like, the first time I saw mountains and rivers, I read about it in the Bible, but I never could picture it. I could see it on, but when I saw it for myself, and I'm thinking, oh, Moses went up to the mountain, like when I was in Egypt and Mount Sinai, and I could see these things and I could understand, and, because I'm like, I only know ocean and I know about that, but
And sun.
and sea, that's it. But when I saw mountains and rivers and, volcanoes and valleys and the green lushness, and I was like, just in awe, and then I could see God's hand in so many places and so many things. And so for me, it's a spiritual experience, yes. And so I connect with people too. I love people, but it's a lot. Yeah.
I love that. I smile because I resonate with that. Again,
Right.
God, I find nature and God through travel because of His creation.
We travel for different reasons.
Different
So
reasons,
the point
right.
is, we're still traveling.
Yeah.
And so, but for me,
Yeah.
what I would like to know is, or talk about is, what does traveling have to do, this is the grow show, we talking about
Right.
grow. What does somebody may view and say, well, what traveling have to do with and they talking about growing boldly.
Oh my.
So tell me about that from a sense of growing.
Well, you learn and become so much more when you travel. I found I grew so much from travel, and I do most of my travel solo. I'm a solo traveler, and so I am able to expand my global, my viewpoints and just encompass those things. And I learn about different things and people, and it helps me to grow personally. I learn more about myself in travel, how I act under adversity. Like when someone stole my wallet and my cash and my credit cards, like how do I respond to those kind of circumstances? How do I respond when I miss a flight? How do I handle difficulties, and also how do I handle times of euphoria? Do I just lose it and go crazy? Can I contain myself? How do I relate to other people of different races and cultures and different religions? Right? Am I closed? Am I open? And so it's helped me to grow and expand my viewpoint and be more tolerant of people. And not to always expect me from everyone, but to look for the good and the beautiful in everything and everyone.
And to me, it also, for the growing, it's all about not just limiting yourself to a certain space or jurisdiction. Growing means that you want to go beyond the norm. We used to go into Florida. We used to go into Miami. We used to go into the United States. And so growing means that to expand your mind to be able to go somewhere outside of the norm.
Exactly.
And even the process of going after a dream of travel, right? We talk about boldly meaning building your life, building out your life, right? And there's so many people who have that dream of travel. Just to be able to pursue that dream is growth for them. Because,
Exactly.
they haven't. And so because we know that it's such a dream for many, and there are people who, I do dream boards, we talk about vision all the time. Travel is always on the list, always. And few people actually go and travel, especially to the extent that you have.
And few people really know where they want to travel. They will say, well, they'll put on a dream, I want to travel the world.
Yeah, what is that?
Which just sounds so big and so grand, as opposed to, I want to go to Japan.
Right.
I want to go
You have to be
Africa. And
specific.
even more specific,
Yeah.
I want to go to South Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So have the specifics, because you really don't, you can travel the world.
Right.
And I believe the reason that happens is they want it but don't see the money.
It's always
Part of it is the money.
I want
and the plan.
before this episode ends, I want you to talk about you mentioned your travel fund. How do you finance these travels?
Right.
So before we get into financing, give the audience an idea of how many continents, countries, and cities you've been to, and then we'll talk about how financing.
Right.
So
I've been.
continent.
Continents of 6.
You've been
Right.
to 6 continents?
Yes.
Wow, we went to 2.
How many continents?
Yeah.
We've
Okay.
been to
7.
two.
I have Antarctica.
How many
I just gonna say, I know it's Antarctica.
It's
you've been
Antarctica
to.
because me and the cold, we don't go to.
Yeah.
I do not like the cold. And
Well, if
break
you've been in
passage
Canada and
everything.
you've been in Montreal
No,
for
that's a different
years.
type of cold.
Yeah.
That's a different type of cold, I'm telling you.
All right, so-
I've been to Greenland and I've been up to Alaska and stuff, but Antarctica is a different type of cold.
right,
And I have to prepare myself in the Drake Passage. So it's 103 countries. I haven't counted how many cities countries.
Well, if
all
it's
that kind of stuff.
103 countries, it
Right.
got to be double for the city.
Yes.
So at least
At least
206.
so
and then some
200.
countries you would have visited multiple cities.
Yes,
Yeah.
and one or two more than once.
Yeah.
I don't visit a country more than once unless
Yeah.
I really have to. That's part of it, right? Because I have a goal, and that goes back to what you're saying. I always tell people a dream without a plan is just a wish.
Yep.
Right? So you don't have a dream, you have a wish, right? It's not a goal, there's no plan attached to it, right? You have no plan, it's not specific, it's not, specific, measurable, attainable. We talk about SMART goals, and for me, mine was specific. I want to reach 100 countries by 50, and it was time bound and everything, but I actually reached there at 45, because I'm a little overachiever.
Yeah, I love it.
And I tell people I go a step beyond that. I use what's called the whoop method. And I usually start saying the song, whoop, there it is, whoop, there it is. So,
So
you
that's
take
how
that
you
wish.
choose?
No, that's not how I choose, but that's
Okay.
how I approach it instead of just my vision board. So I have my my wish and my outcome. What are my obstacles? Like you said, a lot of people's obstacle is money, right? So you make a plan. How are you going to overcome that
Finance,
obstacle? How are you going to finance it? So I have a travel account, and my budget
I
is
heard you say that just
25%.
now,
Yes, it's
travel
25%, right? So 25% of my salary, I live on 25%, I save 25%, I give 25%, and 25% is travel. That may not work for everyone.
Yeah.
Because I'm single, I have a
Yeah.
dog, that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I have some investments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that works for me, right? And I change it, it depends, but money goes into my travel account. And so during
you still have
COVID,
a
my
framework.
my travel account grew a lot of money, and then I was free now because I was working for myself. I had the time and the money, and that's when my travel really picked up, right? And then
You
I,
literally save towards whatever destinations that
Exactly,
you want.
right.
And not necessarily for the specific destination, but you have a travel account that
Right.
can go
wherever,
anywhere.
right, I can pull money from, and I check it to see if it
gotta
fit,
do
if
that too.
that money, if that destination fits into, like,
Yeah.
for a while, I couldn't afford to go to the Maldives and stay in the
Yes.
water bungalow,
That's what I
right?
would like to hear
So
a little
I
bit
had
more
to,
about.
I had to use points for that anyway,
Yeah.
for the overwater
For the
bungalow.
audience, because then you don't want to create this grandiose thing.
Exactly,
You want
no.
to make it real for people to be able to
Exactly.
identify with it.
Right.
So talk about the progression, because we had a progression. We started out
Savings.
visiting savings and visiting some countries. I mean, the Caribbean,
Right,
Family
the
Islands,
coastlines,
and then
right.
we take it up to Europe. So we didn't just jump to Europe.
Exactly.
You see, so how
But
did you do
sometimes,
that?
and that's what I did, I went to Europe, and then I always combine, like, I never leave and just go to one country.
Okay.
That don't make no sense to me, because you done spending $600-700 on a ticket to go all the way over there.
Yeah.
And then it's only gonna cost you like $100 to go to
Yeah.
another country, another $100.
Sometimes less
Why
than
not?
$100.
Exactly,
Yeah.
jump on the train or
Yeah.
something like that. So I
Yeah.
combine trips.
Yeah.
I usually do
Yeah.
like 3-4 countries at a time, and I have the time to do that. And so I say travel within your means, of course, your budget. Where can you afford to go? Look at deals and prices. They have Groupon have deals. You could do round trips for like, I mean, with hotel and everything included for like $700-800.
Yeah.
And then just buy a ticket to Miami. You just have to look to know where your hub is gonna be
Yeah.
from the
Yes.
fly from. Don't try buying no ticket out of Nassau, because that don't make no sense. And buy those, and look for
Yeah.
that. But always set a budget. I have budget for every one of my trips, and I do my actual spending and my budgeted spending. And I track how much I spend on my trips, and at the end of it, I could see if I came under budget or over budget.
I'm the tracker.
And I could,
I track everything.
Everything.
I
I
think
track.
it's so important to really stress that, because they look at you and it's easy to say, because I remember they said for us, oh, y'all got so much money.
Money,
y'all got
yeah.
money,
Or for me,
money,
it's like, oh, you got a sugar daddy, or my
Yeah.
sponsoring your
And
trips.
we said too, like, we don't have a bunch of money, we save. It's
Exactly.
it's a discipline
It's right.
to save the money,
Exactly.
because that travel is important to us.
And that's what is important for me. I say you might spend all your money on Starbucks and
Yeah.
expensive bags and shoes. I don't do
Yeah.
that. No,
And
no, no.
another thing
Or
with
your
traveling
pickles.
too, we don't shop.
Right.
We ain't traveling to shop.
No,
It's
no.
the experience. I can
Yes,
imagine
exactly.
it's the
It's the same for me.
for you.
My bag goes 48 pounds and it comes back maybe 49 pounds.
Yeah.
So I am not shopping. I buy
Yeah.
magnets. That's my souvenirs that I collect.
Oh, yeah, the same thing too.
Once in a while, and I collect coins. I like little jewelry and, little outfits
Yeah.
maybe, but ain't no big pile of shopping.
Yeah, 'cause
And
that's
my
not the
focus is
purpose.
different. It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
take
our folks be like
experiences.
that.
Yeah.
Be like $2,000, $5,000,
No.
just shopping.
Yeah, when I come
No.
back to Miami, that's a whole other story. I take
Yeah.
out my foldable bag and I
Yeah.
go shopping and do my,
Yeah.
my shopping for necessities and bring those back.
Yeah.
But that's not the purpose of my other,
Yeah.
my
And then when you're
travel.
traveling around places like Europe and stuff, you can't be lugging around no big old
No,
bag,
no, no.
'cause you're catching trains and
and
trams
stuff, yeah.
and buses. You can't have them big old
Sometimes I
suitcases behind you.
backpack, yeah.
Yeah, you need a backpack and a carry-on. And so people just be amazed, like, how do you go for so long with a carry-on? Again, it comes back to the purpose.
Right.
It ain't a shopping trip.
Yes.
Oh Lord, you don't know that already.
I know it's.
Y'all only have a minute left for this episode, so how we gonna tie in this minute? I can leave that for you.
Listen, okay, so if you're watching so far, listen, you just gotta wait another week for the next episode because we're going to now go into, again, more of the how. How do you pick the trip? You know, any memorable moments, all of those things as related to travel. So here's the thing, if you're
Season 8,
watching
episode 8.
if you're watching this episode and you have questions, drop the questions in the chat as well. Or of course, you know, when we promote this episode, drop the questions because I'm sure, you know, I don't think we will get to all of our questions in the time, but if you want to learn about how to grow boldly through travel, stay tuned for the next episode.
All right. Until next time.
Grow boldly.